What would you prefer, the 7 p.m. start? Cheryl, could you help keep an eye out on the meeting room because I'm now going to stop paying attention to that. Thanks. Right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to this ZamPulse Chats. ZamPulse Chats aims at broadening the scope of Zambian entrepreneurship. So this initiative is by Ungano Events Management and is aimed at exploring and expanding the landscape of Zambian entrepreneurship. We're learning from the past, we're rooted in the present and focused in the future. So this initiative is aimed at bringing together Zambian entrepreneurs from various sectors to share their experiences, insights, and strategies for success. So we're incredibly honored to have Monica Musonda as our guest speaker today, a true trailblazer in both the corporate and entrepreneurial worlds. So this episode is brought to you in collaboration with Java Foods and the Easy Noodles brand. My name is Chiwe Chihana. I'm a director at Ungano Events Management. I'll be your host, and I will be supported by my co-host, Cuthbert Malindi, who is also a director of Ungano. So the format for today is we're going to have a chat. We'll introduce you to Monica, and Monica and I will have an in-conversation. And then we're going to be inviting somebody special from the Zambia's Promoting Leadership in America, who's going to be telling us about an award that will be bestowed on Monica in a bit. After that, my colleague Cuthbert Malindi is going to be speaking to Monica just a little bit, and then we'll invite you all. So start getting your questions ready in the chat. If you could put them in the chat, then we'll invite you to join the conversation. And yeah, please feel free to make comments, respond to, leave your questions, and we'll really, really want to have this as an interactive session. And at the end of it, we're going to have our raffle, which will take us to which one of you won some of those noodles that Easy Noodles and Java have given us today for this event. So the topic of discussion today is what it takes to start and build a thriving business and brand. It's a chat with Monica Musonda. Monica's journey began as a corporate lawyer where she built over 20 years experience in corporate finance, mergers and acquisitions, project financing, and regulatory affairs. She's dual qualified as an English solicitor and Zambian advocate and served as general counsel for Africa's richest man and one of the biggest organizations on the continent, Aliko Dangote. And during her time with the Dangote Group in Nigeria, one of her key achievements was leading the $400 million Dangote investment in Zambia. But Monica didn't just stop at the legal world. She's now the founder and CEO of Java Foods, which is a thriving food manufacturing company, and has expanded her business interests into fintech and mining services across Zambia. Her impact doesn't stop there. She serves on numerous boards, including Airtel Zambian Networks and Zambian Breweries, where she is chair of the boards, further proving her leadership across sectors. Monica is also a passionate advocate for women's empowerment and African entrepreneurship, playing a key advisory role in initiatives that address the financing gap, which is faced by women entrepreneurs. She's received several prestigious awards, including the 2017 African Agribusiness Entrepreneur of the Year and the 2021 Leading Agribusiness Entrepreneur of the Year in Zambia. We're privileged that today we're also going to be joined by Dr. Frida Mwamba Brazo, who will be telling us about another award that is awaiting Monica and will be bestowed on her in September in Atlanta. So in addition to her professional success, Monica is a young global leader with the World Economic Forum and a Desmond Tutu Leadership Fellow. She's a sought-after speaker, so we're very lucky to have her delivering powerful talks on entrepreneurship, private sector growth, and how to build strong African food systems. Please join me in welcoming the amazing phenomenon that is Monica Musonda for what promises to be an insightful and inspiring conversation. Good evening and welcome, Monica.
Good evening. Hi, everybody. Thank you for spending some time with us tonight.
Thank you. Really grateful for that. So we'll go right into it because we're fascinated, but we have to go to the basics, right?
Yeah.
Your entrepreneurship journey. Could you share more about your career journey and what inspired you to transition from the corporate world to founding Java Foods in Zambia?
Well, I actually think you've done a really great introduction. I mean, on paper, you've said it all. Almost, I'll say 16 years in the corporate world, which I loved. I was really passionate about the law, but more passionate about coming back home to Zambia. I practiced outside of Zambia for many years and wanted to come home, but knew that being at home meant I was going to do something different. And I decided then when I was coming home that I wanted to create a brand. I wanted to do manufacturing, but I also wanted to change the face of manufacturing and create impact. And that was really the beginning of Java Foods and really the beginning of a real change in direction, a passion which I didn't know I had. So I can tell you, everyone on today's call, that sometimes you just have to push yourself to be a little bit uncomfortable to really understand what drives you. And I think I found a new passion after so many years of the law. And it's really great because of Java Foods has actually grown and through lots of challenges, but it's grown quite a lot. We've learned a lot and we remain passionate about building our country, about changing the face of retail products and really being proud of what we're doing here. I think I said this before, things don't change in our country if we don't step up to the plate.
How inspiring. Yeah, stepping up to the plate. I think it takes a lot of boldness, and thank you for being at least that beacon of boldness that we all probably need to be having. But what were the key challenges that you faced when starting out, and how did you overcome them?
Well, actually, my biggest key challenge is I knew nothing about what I wanted to do, right? And I think, again, if I kept, I've got to tell you something, it means that you can learn. I was a lawyer for many years and had no idea about retail, manufacturing, marketing. I had not lived in Zambia for 14 years, had no relationships. I come from a family of academics, so knew nothing about selling anything, but we learned, right? So I think my key challenge was really trying to get the business into a business, because I think a lot of us want to do some kind of business idea, but not everything is a business. And it took a long time for my idea to actually become a business where it could scale. So I think that was the beginning. I think skills were difficult, understanding the market. I spent a lot of time, trying to do a model, as most people do, numbers must fit, and actually one of my mentors was like, you can do a number of models and they'll actually all be wrong. And the only way you're going to learn what to do or how to grow a business is by doing. And that's what we did. Actually, we threw away the model and the model was wrong anyway. And we went into the market and learned from others. The market taught us what it wanted, when it wanted it, how much it was willing to pay for, what it didn't want. We learned a lot just by doing, right? So that was a challenge. That was also a challenge, just understanding the market. And remember, a lot of things right now are not nicely put in a book or on a website. There's no data. You have to create your own. You make a lot of assumptions, and sometimes your assumptions will be wrong and expensive. So you will make those mistakes, right? Speaking of expensive, another challenge was raising the money. I mean, I had worked for many years in my life, and so I used a lot of my personal savings to start up the business and then ran out of money. So the reality of financing is real, about the lack of affordable financing to really scale businesses from idea to business to scale, right? So I think that remains a challenge. And then there are lots of secrets now I've learned about how to finance a business. Not all of it is about walking into a bank, right? So, but I think that was also a challenge. And really just it was a completely new food group. We are the leading instant noodle brand in Zambia. In 2012, 2013, nobody knew what an instant noodle was. So we did, instead of kind of selling sweets or biscuits or something that people were familiar with, we decided to do something really hard and sell and create a market for a product which was never marketed to a Zambian consumer. I don't know why that was. I don't know why.
I was just going to say, like, you could have gone easy on yourself. And
no, it's true. A lot of my funders, the people I spoke to when I was raising money, was like, but why would you put yourself through so much pain of creating a market? Isn't it easier just to sell stuff that people know? And probably right. But can you imagine the competition in a group where there are lots of great brands? I mean, we have we actually launched a porridge in 2016, 2017, which we love, but we were not winning in that category because there are thousands of porridge brands, right? Big names which had dominate shelf, and we just decided that actually it wasn't a category we could win in, and so we stepped back from it. So sometimes being in an area where there are probably fewer of you, not as competitive, slightly new, and you're willing to do the work because it is work. You have a long-term perspective because it will be long-term. It won't turn around right away. And creating market and perhaps losing the market. There are lots of stories of people who create a market and then someone comes to pull it from right underneath them, right? So there's lots of that kind of fear as well. But there are several challenges. I mean, even on a personal level, if I can say that, of really doubting whether or not I should be doing it. When you lose all your money and you're actually feeling that perhaps you shouldn't be doing this. It was a real come to Jesus moment for me to say that I could do anything else. I didn't need to be here. I just had this great idea and I thought I really wanted to change things in Zambia, but maybe it was a crazy idea and maybe I should go back to what I know. But you persist.
How long was that period though? The period of goodness me, what have I just done to
I still have it. What do you mean?
I wouldn't have thought so because it's only now that I'm actually seeing a competitor rising locally, your brand.
Yes, but competition is only one aspect of it. I mean, when you're trying to, as I said, raise money and nobody wants to give you any money because you just think, why should we lend this small company to this lady who has no experience? We rather lend to someone who we know. And then you're just trying so hard to convince people that actually you can do this business. Then you're like, you know what, why should I bother? Or when people, and as it's very difficult when people do things which distract you, or, in your business, you have employees who may steal from you or do things which, disrupt the business. And you think, why should you bother? So there are lots of days where you think it's too hard, right? But I've got to say, life is hard, whether you're working for yourself or working for others, right? So choose your hard.
Choose your hard. But one of the hards you've chosen, I think after that experience, I've heard you talk a bit about how these opportunities for financing, whilst they're scarce, but at least you seem to be driving people into certain directions. And I think that has been something more recent that we're getting to see a lot more of from you.
I think the issue is looking differently about how to raise financing for your business. And I think maybe when I started the business, I didn't think of it in that way as broadly as I probably look at it now. Obviously, experience is a great teacher, but I think now we have to think differently. I mean, it's great if you're able to crowdfund for a great idea, good for you. If you're able to raise money from family and friends to finance an invoice, that's also great. If you're able to get, some minimal financing for raw material to get a product out, that's also great. It's also, you can fund a business by getting a deposit up front. I mean, there's so many ways now, but just thinking creatively about your business. I think everyone sort of thinks you have to go to a bank. Banks are really difficult institutions. As we know, paperwork is really difficult. Remember, you're a small business. You probably don't even have accounts. So it's really hard to start off and thinking that your first source of financing will be from a bank. It's very unlikely.
It's very unlikely. Wow, that's a good lesson for me. I think I'm in that place where I'm not sure where I should be going for some of the things I'm trying to undertake. So if you're just joining us, thank you so much. We are speaking to Monica Musonda, and Monica Musonda is talking about what it takes to start and build a thriving business and brand. Thank you for joining Zone Pulse Chats today. Monica, one of the things you've just spoken about as well is mentors, and maybe we take it for granted, perhaps not, but I'm going to assume that one of the biggest mentors you've had is somebody we highly celebrate in the continent. So I'm going to ask you, how did your experience working with Aliko Dangote influence your approach to your business and leadership?
So I'll tell you, actually, I think it's more my thought process and my courage and just the way I saw things, because I had been a lawyer for many years and I saw my life going to continue very much behind a desk and supporting great businesses with financing and otherwise. And then I realized actually that I could actually be an entrepreneur. There was nothing great or nothing more these other people had. So working with him, allowed me to see things differently. Right. Allowed me to see the promise of our continent. I had worked on the continent as well as outside of the continent. And often at time he would say to me that, if we are not here trying to build, who do we expect to change things for us, right? So it was really about perspective, about a lot of pride, and that's why I wanted to come home, because I thought, well, actually, I'm from here. The name means something. When you say your name, everyone kinds of says, oh, yeah, you're from here. And I just thought, well, nothing is going to change if I'm going to be sitting in another country, right? So it was also about the way we think, right, which has to change. And I think Zambia, we're seeing a lot of changing in thinking, because before, a lot of people really wanted to work for, take a job. And now we're seeing some really great ideas. People are challenging themselves. People are following their passions. It's great, right? It's a great time to almost be alive. So the thinking was what he taught me, and to be courageous, not to be brave, and just to take risks, right? So I think he taught me that. In the early days of the business, he also asked me a lot of questions. I think sometimes, mind you, my business is so small compared to his business, right?
What you don't say, really?
So it is one of those, how come I don't see your trucks? I'm like, because we don't have that many trucks. So he's still a great mentor, but of course it's different. And you have mentors for different stages in your career, right? So he was great when I started out. And now I have mentors who are here in Zambia, who have run successful businesses, who really want me to succeed. And for many things, even on a personal basis, how to create balance in my life. I have someone who I talk to about balance, because not everyone is going to be able to give you that advice. So mentors for different things, sponsors, as they say, sponsors now is what they're talking about when you have people who speak of your name in rooms of opportunities. So I have a lot of those as well. And I have a lot of people to thank for walking this journey with me. It's now been 12 years. And I would tell you, I wouldn't have seen me being here. And it's been definitely hard, but it's highly, highly fulfilling.
You chose your heart. You chose
Yes,
your heart.
I did.
A fulfilling one at that. Monica, when you were talking about your mentors, we actually have, so Ungano Events Management, Cuthbert Malindi and I co-own it, and that's something Cuthbert's always talking about. Have a mentor for everything, have a coach for everything, and have a coach for that. You talked about your Zambian ones. How are we doing, especially when it comes to women entrepreneurs, aspiring women entrepreneurs? What's the availability?
So, hey, women, we've got a lot of women entrepreneurs. What we don't have a lot of is women running businesses at scale, large businesses, right? So you see Ravana Maya on the street, she's selling someone. She's actually an entrepreneur. Do not discount her. She's just disadvantaged. Maybe she can't afford rent for a shop. She can't scale her business. And that's the missing link. Actually, you see a lot of women just trying to supplement income, to take kids to school, to do a special project. So we have actually a lot of entrepreneurs. What we're missing is the scale. How do we move her into a shop next year? How does she get more stock? How does she move from trading into manufacturing? And that's what's missing, right? And I think it is not just about mentorship. It is also about thinking much bigger. It's also about challenging our societal norms. I can tell you, it's a lot of work when you're picking up boxes at 10 p.m. I don't think not every family is willing to give you that room. Or if you're providing a service which requires you to deal with multiple countries and jurisdictions, and you have to be on a call at midnight, but that's what the work is, right? So I think it's really challenging mindsets and mind frames, and allowing women to thrive in this space to reach the point where they can really take the leap. And also, of course, financing. I think there's a lot of talk right now about financing more women, but we're still not seeing enough being done in terms of how do we fund women who have fixed assets which are owned by family with their spouse. It's so easy for men to sort of put up the house and borrow money, but much harder for women to do so. And how are we supporting women we know already where women do particularly well in Zambia. We're seeing in education, in hospitality, in certain sectors. So why are we not creating specific funds to fund those areas? Because we know women are excelling in those areas. So we're not seeing enough of that innovative thinking. I think we are seeing a lot more money go into studies to ask the questions. What happens after the questions, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. What we're going to do now is you spoke about mindset change. And there's a queen of mindsets here who is honoring you with an award in Atlanta just next month. So I'd like to invite Dr. Frida Mwamba-Brazo of the Zambians Promoting Leadership in LA, in Atlanta, rather, to come on. Dr. Brazo, welcome. Do I need to unmute you? There you go. You should be able to if you, yeah, there you go.
Thank you so much, and congratulations, Monica, and congratulations to you as well, Tandy. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here on this call. And I'll start off with just saying a little bit about who Zambians Promoting Leadership in America is. It's ZLA Foundation. Our website is www.zlafoundation.com. And for those that were here earlier, Tandy mentioned we are the masterminds behind the Diaspora Conference that was held in Livingston in 2022. We started realizing a gap around leadership in Africa, and we realized that it's not necessarily about leadership, it's really around the shifting of the mindset. So we've had these annual shifting of the mindset conferences, and we have given awards to amazing individuals. This year, we are hosting on September the 7th, a shifting mindset, which is at the convergence of youth, legacy, and the diaspora. Why is this important? For those of us who are outside of Zambia, it's so important for us to recognize who we are. So we promote Zambians that are doing amazing things. So the question is, why Monica?
Why Monica?
You've heard about her vision, you've heard about her shift in mindset from being an attorney to becoming an entrepreneur. But we also know that it's very difficult to do anything in Zambia, especially these days with the power challenges that we're having. And in spite of these challenges, she's been able to go out there and pull together the power of innovation. She's been able to demonstrate her leadership and a deep commitment to making a positive difference in Zambia. Like some of us who are in the diaspora, it's a huge question to ask yourself, do I want to move back to Zambia? What change can I make? So when somebody actually does that and is successful at doing what they are doing, it is worth honoring them. You know, the one thing that I will say, and this is my hypothesis, it could be wrong, but my hypothesis is that the more successful Zambians become in the diaspora, the more disengaged they are with their own country. And that's because they develop this tolerance of, I don't want to do, corruption. I don't want to deal with all the challenges. So for Monica to have shifted from a cushy job where you're getting your salary every bi-weekly or month, to move into a space where you're introducing a product that isn't commonly known, and to go out there and create a brand that competes with other noodles, it is worthwhile for us to really applaud her and give her her flowers. She has significantly contributed to the improvement of food security and nutrition in Zambia. She has been courageous. And one thing that I've began to experience since I met her is her humility. A lot of leaders, they lose sight of what they're doing and they don't have humility. Monica has humility. She has been able to show us what it means to lead with purpose, and in creating opportunities, not only for herself, but for the youth as it relates to job opportunities. So her tenacity, her leadership has made Java Foods a key player in Zambia's economy. And the one thing that I was talking to her about, she's like, Frida, I'm not just in the food business, she told me. She says, I'm also venturing into renewable energy and fintech. So it's like, wow.
And mining, before you forget, mining too.
So when you see somebody who's not just satisfied with the successes and they're doing things to do things for our country, that to me is commendable. And not only that, it's not only for ZLA to recognize her, but the fact that she's been recognized by Forbes and the World Economic Forum tells us that we have a diamond, not in the rough, but we have a diamond in Zambia. And for that, for us in the diaspora, it's so important for us to recognize her and appreciate her work, and for us to see other Monicas coming up so that we can make a difference, not only in Zambia, in the region, in the continent, in the world. So with that said, it is an honor that we'll be having her in Atlanta next week and be able to give her an award in front of our ambassador, Chibaba Kanyama, as well as other thought leaders that are coming to Atlanta. So Monica, congratulations on your award.
Congratulations, Monica, and thank you so much for being such a trailblazer. And I echo Dr. Frida Brazel. We're proud of you. And thank you for doing that thing that says nobody's going to come and fix our country for us. We should be doing it ourselves. Thank you, Dr. Frida Brazel.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, we will talk about the regulatory environment because I think you started to touch on that, but I'm going to invite Cuthbert Malindi, one of the directors of Ungano Events Management, to ask you a few questions himself had. But if you're just joining us, we've got Monica Musonda speaking to us today and inspiring us. So I'll just bring Cuthbert Malindi on, and Dr. Frida Brazel, thank you again. Cuthbert, hi.
Wow.
How are you doing?
Hi, Monica. How are you doing?
You're muted, Monica. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you. Thanks. Hey, Cuthbert. Yeah.
You know, let me use this opportunity, to maybe to punt Ungano a little bit. Because what we're really trying to do as Ungano is showcase people like you. You and I have known each other for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen in other countries, entrepreneurs are not shy to come forward and talk about, what they've done, the challenges they've had. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing anybody, but I think it's been very difficult. I'm Zambian, so I guess I can say what I want to say. I found it very difficult to bring entrepreneurs to open up on forums like this. So I just wanted to start off by thanking you for agreeing to come on today, because it's very important that people like you actually come forward and participate in shows like this. With
Thank
that
you for
said,
having me.
I don't know if you remember the meeting we had. The reason I'm remembering it was right in the middle of load shedding in 2014.
2015, yeah, I was going to say that. Yes. We've been through it all, Cuthbert, actually.
Exactly. And we're saying, but Monica, why did we leave the corporate world to do this? And now I
Cuthbert,
believe
you have done so many great things. I still also remember you were trying to raise a fund, and then you raised some. Yeah. So we should be interviewing you, actually.
You was the first guest, actually. So you're the second, Monica. So you should take that kids, yeah.
Okay. No, with that said, I just wanted to ask a question. I'm gonna flip it a little bit. What keeps you going?
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I think a lot of this is personal character. I'm just one of those people who doesn't like to fail, right? I will give everything 100%, even at sometimes risking on, health. I've been through a lot of health challenges as well, but I'm just one of those people who's very, very driven. I believe 100%, particularly when I put my mind to something and doing it, right? And I believe in my country. So that drives me to do better, to look at other things and just what else can be done. And I believe that, again, nothing will change for us if we don't put our best foot forward. And by the way, I may open the door, I may not be the successful person, but the person who comes behind me, who I've opened the door for, may do so much better. But remember, for a long time, the doors weren't open for us. In a lot of sectors, they secretly or found a way to keep a lot of us out, right? And the fact of the matter, that can no longer be the case, right? Now, what is holding us back is ourselves, a bit of thinking around partnerships, because there are things where sometimes you can't go it alone, but you must take the steps. So I think there's a lot that we can do. And so I think a lot of this comes from within, but also great belief in that things can be better for us, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, just to add on to that, I mean, for the sake of the people in the audience, when Monica was attorney lawyer in Joburg, she was actually our lawyer, when I worked for a private equity fund. That's how we met. So in a sense, we're very similar, that we've transitioned from being in the corporate, assured of all those, dare I say, high salaries, US
And
dollar salaries.
bonuses. What is that today?
Yeah, so that's why I asked that question, because even for me, I mean, I'm an entrepreneur myself. There are days, especially coming to the month end, when you have to meet payroll, and you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I keep going? So, that's why I asked that question. And I think it's important that, people hear from, people like you, say what keeps you going despite those challenges and despite those there are moments when you feel I shouldn't be doing this. Let me just go home, get a job, and be happy.
Yeah. No, but you see what it does, and really, Cuthbert, a lot has moved because, when I first started, everyone assumed I had been fired or why, like, couldn't understand why I would have given up my job and come to Zambia, right? And then let's say 5 years ago, people would stop me and say, "Oh, how did you think about that? Like, where did you get that idea from?" When I started, everyone was like, "Eesh, this girl's going to fail." But the thing about it is now when you go through it, you walk through the fire, right? But what you're showing people is that it is possible, right? And I think that also drives me to say, guys, we can do anything we want to do. It's your country. Where else are you going to get a better chance? It's so much harder elsewhere. Not to say that it's impossible elsewhere, but we have a great opportunity here. Slightly low-hanging fruit in much more difficult circumstances, but it's our home, right? We've got to do this. We got to try at least, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my second question is really, I mean, you've received several awards, Forbes, I mean, some of them have been mentioned today, and you're getting another award. I just wanted to find out from you, what do these awards mean for you, and what do they do for you?
I wish they came with money. That's a joke, right?
Fred, are you listening?
No, I often, I've got to say, if you come into my office, I've got the side table. I have a lot of, we win a lot of awards, not because, we're better than everyone else, but because in some spaces we're the only other local brand, right? There are very few women-run manufacturers, so you kind of, you're going to win because you're the only woman manufacturer. That's it, right? But oftentimes, particularly from the banks, I'd be like, so where's the check that came with the plaque, right? It'll help us pay some bills, right? That's a joke. I mean, I think over time, it's really justifies the pain and sometimes very proud. I'm also a bit hard on myself. So it's taken a long time for me to appreciate when I'm where I'm recognized that actually it's a good thing. So it's also a bit of a character thing about me. But now I've learned a lot about really, being thankful and grateful when people recognize you and what you do. And we may not be the most profitable, but definitely we created an impact in Zambia. The brand is very well known, and that in itself, we are so proud of that. So I'm very happy and grateful and honored to be recognized, all the way in the US for that matter, But it's making a difference today. Yeah.
Okay. Chiwe, I've got a couple of questions from the chat room. Can I go ahead?
Please proceed, yeah.
Okay. Monica, there is a question here. I know this is not a masterclass, so but I'll let you handle this question. It says, given the cost of capital in Zambia, what do you find as some of the best sources of affordable capital in the country?
So depending on where you are in your life cycle of the business, if you're in your startup stage, I think that there are a couple of things that you can find how you can finance your business. I think what you want to do is maybe if you have one paying client, you can be smart and ask for, to get that paid up front or get a percentage of it up front in order for you to fund the contract. You could also use that contract and borrow from your mom or your dad or your uncle. Family and friends is also a funding round, guys. It's sometimes, and in most countries, that is often the first port of call to finance your business. And I do speak about this often when I speak to the youth about integrity. You see, people lend you money when they know you and know that you will pay it back. So often enough, when you're in your university days and you borrow money and you say, it's okay, I won't pay them back. And then 10 years later, the guy you borrow money from remembers, and he's the bank manager. I mean, those are things which are serious. So it's about integrity, doing what you say you're going to do. So that's important, particularly your family and friends around, right? And also looking at where you can find capital, like business plan competitions. I think in the rest of the world, business plan competitions are many, incubators are many. And that's something we have to do much more in Zambia, are really establishing a better angel network, allowing people to win $5,000 for a great idea. That's capital. That helps get your business off the ground, helps you buy something, helps you buy some intellectual property. So I think you have to think a little bit differently until you are able to scale the business and able to then walk into a bank and fulfill those requirements. So I hope that's a little bit helpful, but think out of the box. And bank of mom and dad is not always a bad thing if you have it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, another question is, this is more up the street. Unfortunately, the people didn't put their names here. I would have liked to say who it is. So there's a question here, is that in comparison to major distributors, i.e. big box supermarkets, what do you see is missing or in need of improvement in the traditional distribution sector in Zambia?
So listen, one thing people need to know about is that we sell the informal traditional trade is about 70 or 80% of existing trade in FMCG, right? It's not Zambia, it's the African continent, right? Fragmented, that's where people shop. They shop in their neighborhoods, close to their house, mom and pop shop, that's what they do. And probably 20% in Zambia go into a ShopRite or Pick and Pay, because they're driving, it's near their house, they're looking for an imported product. But the bulk of people actually shop in the informal sector, right? I think what we would love to see improved is a easier way to distribute as a manufacturer, FMCG player. I want it to be much easier for me to sell products. So to be able to use digital to understand what John Peary on XYZ road once on that day on Wednesday, so I don't have to chance and get there, and I don't have what he wants, or he doesn't have money to pay me on that day. But if we use much more digital apps to understand what our customers are doing, and our customers use the digital apps more, even to pay us. So I gotta say, Zambia's cash, huh?
Yeah.
So, it's and for different reasons, right? It's so hard to get some of our traditional customers to pay you via mobile money or transfers because of maybe tax issues, which we have to move away from. But really, it's so much safer for us in the FMCG space if we could use digital cash mechanisms as well. So I don't think you're going to see changes in how we shop in the short term. It's definitely getting better for modern trade, but we're still seeing a huge volume in traditional trade. But it'll be great to see much more digital interventions in the traditional trade space. Yeah.
Okay, great. Do we have a question? Do you have time for one more? Otherwise, I'll give it back to you.
Yeah, you can. No, you can ask one more. Then I'll take it up.
Okay, so luckily there's a name here from Cedric Chuma.
Hey, Cedric.
So his question is, I like this question, by the way, but let me try and paraphrase it. So his question is that, I mean, you've moved, you've left the corporate world, as you say, to start a business. What are the three most important things, aside from money, that have compounded over time and given you a unique advantage in the marketplace?
So one is understanding the market, right? And really understanding what Zambians, my target market, is willing to pay for, when they want it and how they want it, right? So you don't make an assumption that they are going to eat, let's just say, yellow rice on Wednesdays, right? But actually they wanted brown rice on Friday, and they're only willing to pay 1 kwacha, right? So I think that's the trick, not just for me, but for local brands in Zambia, is that they have the advantage over multinationals because they understand what the market, the target market, really wants, when they want it, how they want it, and how they're going to pay for it. So the fact is, we have to all get on that bandwagon. The only reason that they do well in this space is because we allow them to do well, right? So you'll see in bigger markets, Kenya, Nigeria, why you have many local brands doing very well is because they understand that. So I think market is really important, and understanding how you get paid, how you fund the business, right? Because another thing, you make assumptions from that. If you think that if you deliver a product, you'll get paid, and then you don't get paid for 60 days, then that messes up everything, right? So it's also understanding how the dynamic of the market works. I think market is really important. I think also really seeing where the market is going. And I say this very carefully because when I started the business, everyone said, oh, no one's going to eat noodles. We are in Shima people. We eat only maize and that's it. So no one's going to eat your product. But nobody thought to ask the young people if they wanted to still eat Shima or if they only wanted to eat it on Sunday, right? And the young people are so aspirational. They're like kids all over the world on TikTok, on everything else, and wanting to try new things. And they tried new things, right? And they showed us that actually you can move consumption patterns, you can move trends, you can create trends if you're willing enough to do it, right? It's a great time to be alive because you can, right? And there are so many tools today. I mean, if you're in particularly using digital tools, how quickly it is. Remember, look, 10 years, 15 years ago, you had to have a billboard and you had to pay a lot of money for a billboard. Now, about half of the people on today's calls probably don't see the billboard until they've seen it like 100 times. But $100 when they see the Facebook post, they even comment on it, right? That wasn't there 10 years ago. So I think there's a lot which has happened. I think, as I said, understanding market, understanding the consumer, and really where things are going keeps you ahead.
Thank you. I'll pass it back to Chiwa.
Thanks a lot, Cuthbert. I'm sure we'll get back to you a bit later. Monica, I was going to ask you about the regulatory environment, but I think we should probably move on more to global competitiveness and just spoke about technology. So how have you positioned Java Foods to compete on a global scale, if that is the goal, that is? And what strategies have you found most effective?
So again, it's really been looking outside. I mean, our first step was really to conquer Zambia, to understand what we wanted to do here. But then we realized in the region that actually a lot of similarities, a very fast growing youth who are now very urban. So we have in Southern Africa, quite an urbanized environment now. Zambia actually leading at about 44% urbanization. But remember, most of our countries are like 70, 75% below the age of 30, right? So whatever we're trying to do has to really address a different type of mindset, right? So for us to be competitive now, we now know we're really good at what we've done. We've actually been able to pioneer product, and now we're looking for new spaces. We're looking at, in the next few years, becoming one of the leading packaged foods company. And I say packaged foods, so we're not trying to do staples in a sack. We're trying to give our consumers something in a packet, which is easy and convenient for them to buy, which can, sit on a shelf in a shop, can sit on a shelf in your home, because that's the urban customer we're trying to serve, right? But we are also very much looking at very important trends now. So we look at things. We are the only brand in Southern Africa who fortifies their noodle, and most of our products are have added vitamins and minerals, because we realize that nutrition is becoming not just a trend, really important. The fact that we're on this call today and looking as healthy as we are is because our parents took deliberate decisions about what we ate, right? And it's becoming a critical issue now in the cities around, a lot of things that we are creeping up on us, right? So whilst we appreciate that an instant noodle is a processed food, we do our very best to try to support nutrition interventions around it by fortifying it, encouraging people to eat it with other foods. And even our next following products that we'll again be looking at, fortification, looking at actually even changing our raw materials. So wheat is our biggest raw material, not maize. So we don't have an aflatoxin problem, Zambia. So we're cool. Please eat noodles. But we are looking at things like, can we make an instant noodle with sweet potato, which is highly nutritious, right? How can we get support to do better R&D on that, and also handle the costs? Because R&D is expensive. How do we make sure that people are still able then to eat food, affordable food, if we have this kind of R&D? And that's the next question, right? That's the next.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm just thinking though, because when you're talking about R&D and in line with nutrition, is there a role that the state should be playing actually in enabling that? What conditions should they be creating for that? That seems like an obvious thing that should get state intervention actually.
So we do, right? So it's not that there isn't an intervention. I think and Zambia is a really great place because you have a lot of regulation on a lot of things, right? About the implementation is probably less less is not done as well, right? So there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of regulation on safe, good foods, what you should be feeding your children, when you should be feeding them, encouraging breastfeeding under 2, all these great things, right? But we have to be consistent on messaging. We have to have even responsible food companies also do their part, right? To make sure we're putting out safe food, doing our best on the nutrition front. I think that's a fact. I think that's where the difficulties are going to come about. Profits over purpose. It's a discussion not only for Zambia, but in a lot of the countries, right? People have different missions and visions, but I can say for Java safely, it is an important mission for us. Not only just, high quality food, but also nutrition, yeah.
Lovely, thanks. Are you able to tell us what that new line of products is going to be, though? Is it too soon?
I can't, because I'll tell you, because, for us, even the way we got into noodles, it was really about market testing. So for a few years when we began noodles, we actually got them manufactured for us outside of the country, because we didn't want to put up manufacturing capacity right away, because we needed to test the market. So in the same vein, you'll probably see a bunch of different products in the next few months, which will also be co-packed for us while we test it out. So there'll be a variety, and we'll see what is the winning product, where will they be spaced. But I think what we know very well, we're a great instant noodle manufacturer. Now we want to be a great packaged food company. What is that going to be, and what's that going to look like? Only the Zambian consumer will tell.
So we'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
One question that I really wanted to ask you was, in the food industry, especially in Zambia, but Zambia or internationally, who has been a significant source of inspiration for you, and what specific qualities and achievements of theirs do you most find?
In Zambia?
Preferably in Zambia.
Not in Zambia. Oh, that's hard, right? Zambia is difficult. Yeah, I gotta say Zambia is difficult because I feel like I'm always fighting with my other manufacturers. I'm always just trying to justify myself and trying to prove that, because I tell you, you're still seen as the little guy,
Yeah.
Even we just recently joined a few years ago Zambia Association of Manufacturers, and honestly, I thought, we were still the little guys at the back, put those kids at the back there. So we're still really trying to prove ourselves. So a lot of people have supported us, but I feel that I've had a lot more support from really great people outside who are manufacturing, some really great entrepreneurs out of Kenya, right?
Yeah.
I love it because the Kenyans are also used to seeing women box a few ears. So I love often meeting them. But that being said, I really hope I'm inspiring a lot of other women, right? And I hope I will be that even through these kind of sessions that we get other women to stand up. Because again, my job is only to say that it's possible, and everyone else's job is to really win, because you win after this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you know what? Just going back to the conversation you and Cuthbert had earlier when you're talking about awards and what they mean, I think what they do for me is they give us proofs of possibility, and that's what you've become. You have become a proof of possibilities of an alternative way of existing in the entrepreneurship landscape. You talked about, I was listening to you, and this language you used about the Kenyan environment. There's a time when I don't remember whether I was listening to you speaking to an audience anyway, but this is what you said. Something akin to the gravitas and determination of women in Nigeria when you lived in Nigeria, and the remarkable acumen that they had for business. So in your view, what aspects are currently lacking that we might tap into that, or something that could be hindering similar levels of gravitas, if you will?
Is that for women or just for Zambians in general, right?
For women.
For women, okay, all right.
If you can.
So I think it's that there's so many where women are being pulled at all angles. You've got family issues. You've got so many things going on at the same time. And what we really want to do for women, it's not like what is lacking. I think it's the actual belief that I can actually move my cake making business from my kitchen into a small bakery, into a cafe, right? I believe that it is actually okay to step out of what is normal or what people think is normal. And it's okay, even if it takes longer or if you fail. unfortunately, because of our personal circumstances, failure might not be an option for many people, and that's what holds us back, right?
Yeah.
It is very hard. Not everybody can step out of a job and not have a salary for 3 to 4 years, right? It's really, really hard. So I think a lot of that is some of that, but also really belief. I think there's some really great businesses out there. I think I can speak of Umoyo. I think everyone knows about Umoyo. Really starting really just started out with one store and started out as like a health food clinic, and now you can count how many stores she has and how full her stores are based on simple homegrown products that she sells that we want to buy in a nice pack, right? So it's possible, guys. It is possible to another great story I love to tell is a lady who runs a hairdresser called Braided, right? And she's in Kawata, and I do my hair there. I love her because every time I go, the place is full. And she turns over heads. It's like a freaking factory, right? And now she's actually, so she started off as a small store and braiding 5 or 6 people. Now she has over 50 girls braiding hair. She has hair, she does nails, she does everything you can think of, right? So she's pivoted her business and she is minting cash, right? But people need to talk about her much more. Right.
We'll get her here. We'll get to talk.
Yeah. I'm so proud of her because you have to line up and wait to get your hair done.
Can I just jump in there very quickly? Yeah, you mentioned Kim. Kim was actually supposed to be on the call. I just got a message from her that she couldn't make it. Kim.
The memorial, right?
We're actually planning to bring her on.
She's coming on the show as well at some point, alongside some other amazing people like Meraki.
Yes. So you see what I mean? So no shortage of great women. We need to put them on platforms. We need to share. And we represent different sectors, right? So we can say Meraki is definitely in sort of a restaurant, the hospitality restaurant business, and now she makes cake mixes, etc.
Absolutely.
And she pivoted from sort of fish and chips, right? So how do you do that? And then Kim from one store into many stores, right? So there's so many great stories coming out of Zambia today.
A lot of amazing stories coming out of Zambia. I'm just going to take a moment and pause, Monica, so thank you so much to everybody who registered early and stood a chance of winning some easy noodles. So we're going to try and see if we can actually get to that. The names of those who managed to meet the criteria almost remotely, because I think maybe our criteria was not as clear as it could have been. So what we've done is the first 40 people that actually registered have been included in this. So right now I'm going to draw 5 names using this gadget, and let's see who we get.
I hope they're all in Zambia. It would be hard to post.
Which one would that one be? Well, we've got that. It's recorded. Pattern Kalunda, and we'll go again.
I like this.
Congratulations. That's 2. I know that one's in Lusaka. I'm familiar with them. Congratulations, Kate. That's 3.
Kate said, like, oh, wow.
And the very final one, what's your guess?
I don't know.
Congratulations, Lucy. And I do think we saw Lucy on the call earlier on. So thank you so much to Java Foods for their contribution of easy noodles that each one of you will be getting. You'll be getting 5 packs. This event has been brought to you in collaboration with Java Foods and Easy Noodles, which we're very grateful for. Now, the key question that I need you to respond to, Monica, is, this is going to be for everybody who joins us on the Zampulse chats. If you were president or had the agency and power for 30 minutes, what would you put in place in Zambia to advance entrepreneurship?
So, hey, I would really look at what are we good at, right? You know, there's a lot of things, there are lots of people who are good at some things and not good at others, right? I think if we could really focus on our strengths and fund those. So if it's just an example, if you're good at being, you know, like a call center, very bad example, perhaps. Like, how could we then really capitalize on this and be the best in Africa to provide that skill, right? We will just, let's agree, we're not going to be rocket scientists, right? Or are we going to be the best agricultural, you know, food growers? And let's do that. But let's focus and really focus on where our key strengths are and really grow that. And I think that's where we find our space. That's what I would do. And put all our energy in that. So that goes into training, into finding all the right support, into partnerships, and being excellent at doing what we're good at. Because I feel that we're doing 5 million things. We're a country of, and we do nothing particularly well.
We're not doing anything properly. Cuthbert, are you satisfied? That's one of your favorite questions to ask.
Yes, yeah. No, it's interesting you say that. And I would have loved Monica to give two more policies that you would put in place if you're president for 30 minutes.
Right.
Yeah, you know, another one I would put in, and being a bit controversial, was actually to put more women into positions of leadership and to be deliberate about it, the way we see it, and really appreciating that we're on the back foot. And although on the back foot because we're not putting our money where our mouth is with respect to appointments, we have educated women in our midst who are not being given the opportunity, right? And the minute you put into some affirmative action, whether it's 50% of the public service in Parliament, at State House, or wherever it'll be, there must be, you know, if the president is a woman, the vice president must be a man, or vice versa. You begin to see change. You have to be deliberate to change that, because it's actually going in reverse in Zambia.
Thank you. And you're getting some claps there in the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the claps. And did you see that you had so many congratulatory messages as well on your...
I did. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So thank you so much, everybody who's joined us. It's really been lovely having you joining us for the second episode of Zampulse Chats, which we hosted in collaboration with Easy Noodles and Java Foods. Monica, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and for all the great questions, and for people who joined. You had quite a team, actually. Great.
Yeah, we did. Really grateful. And thanks to all the people that contributed to making this possible. So the people at Easy Noodles, Tekla, Chewe, Hilda, Cuthbert, and of course myself. Thank you so much for doing this. Good night.
Good night.